Hi everyone, let's talk about AEW Dynamite Maximum Carnage. This was a fun show, guys. And this show was in my, backyard, number two hometown, Phoenix, Arizona. Shout out to everybody in Phoenix. So let's talk about this show. Pac versus Darby Allin. This was a brutal match. Brutal, but great to watch. Brutal, but amazing. Brutal match, but amazing. I'm going to tell you guys, loved it. Loved it. Let's talk about it. Darby Allin delivers a cross body to Pac and brawls through the crowd with him, and Darby Allin rakes Pac's face across the railing as they both make their way through the crowd, but Pac lands a right hand on Darby Allin as they continue brawling into the middle of the crowd, and Darby Allin sends Pac crashing into the bottom of a guardrail, then ascends to the top of the balcony and connects with a coffin drop on Pac. Then Darby Allin and Pac brawl back down through the crowd into the ringside area, and Darby chases Pac around the ringside area, but Pac sends Darby Allin crashing into the barricade midsection first and immediately resection into a German suplex, and Pac drags the ring steps away from the ring post and then connects with a belly to belly suplex on Darby. Then Pac dumps Darby back into the ring, and the bell sounds, and he runs over Darby with a lariat and then goes for a pin, but Darby Allin kicks out before Pac catches him with a back body drop, and he follows it up with a Northern Light suplex and goes for a pin. But Darby Allin kicks out, then back from the break, Pac and Darby teeter on the ropes, and then Darby Allin sends Pac crashing off the ropes with a headbutt and follows it up with a missile drop kick to him, and then deliver a springboard coffin drop to him, and then Pac responds with a suplex to Darby that sends him crashing into the corner, then sends him on the ropes and connects with a belly to belly suplex on him. And then Pac delivers a razor's edge to Darby Allin, then sends him crashing over the top rope onto the entrance ramp. And then the ref begins a 10 count, but Darby just brilliantly beats it and flips off Pac. And then Pac then grabs his ankles, but Darby rains down right hands on Pac and then delivers a coffin drop to him onto the outside, then lands a second coffin drop to Pac off the top rope onto the ring apron, then dumps Pac back into the ring, and then Darby Allin connects with a pair of splashes on Pac, then looks to land a third one on him, and Darby Allin accidentally hits the ref and tries helping him up, then launches a scorpion deathlock on Pac after Pac tries coming for him, and Wheeler Yuta then appears with a chair in his hand and looks to take out Darby Allin, but Darby Allin levels Wheeler Yuta before he can, and then Darby Allin connects with the Scorpion Death Drop on Pac, and then slides the chair onto Pac, and then injury ankle and flip also again and flies off also again injury ankle and flies off the ropes and ascends into the Scorpion Deathlock on Pac, and Pac tapped out, and that's how Darby Allin won by submission and defeated Pac, which was a great match, guys. Loved it. Then after the match, medical officials Wheeler Yuta and Maria Shafir check on Pac's ankle in the ring. Then Brian Keith and Big Bill make their way to the ring, and Hangman Adam Page follows. And then we had Adam Page versus Brian Keith, which this was a decent match, guys. Loved it. It was a decent match. It wasn't great, but it was decent. I still enjoyed it. Let's talk about it. The bell rings, and Hangman fires off right hands on Brian Keith, and Brian Keith responds with a boot to Hangman, but Hangman sends Brian Keith crashing into the top turnbuckle face first and dumps him out of the ring. Then Hangman then flies off the top rope and levels Brian Keith onto the outside with a crossbody over the top rope and stares down Big Bill, opening the door for Brian Keith to race Hangman Adam Page's eyes. Then Adam Page rains down right hands on Brian Keith and dumps Brian Keith right in the ring and fires off a couple of chops on his chest, and he gets Brian Keith up on his shoulders, but Brian Keith escapes before Adam Page levels him and runs the ropes, and then Big Bill tries stripping Hangman Adam Page, opening the door for Brian Keith to clock him and fire off right hands on his own on Hangman Adam Page. Then back from the break, Hangman Adam Page connects with a fallaway slam on Brian Keith, and Brian Keith follows up Hangman Adam Page, but Hangman Adam Page kicks out, and again. So Brian Keith rolls up, and Hangman Adam Page kicks out, and Big Bill grabs onto Hangman Adam Page ankles, but he sits up for Bloodshot Lariat, but Swerve Strickland appears out of nowhere and attacks Big Bill with his chain as the ref is distracted by Brian Keith. Then Hangman then delivers a Bloodshot Lariat to Brian Keith for the win, and that's how Hangman Adam Page defeated Brian Keith with the Bloodshot Lariat with the help of Swerve, and that's what happened right there, and that's how Hangman defeated Brian Keith, which was a decent match, like I said again. Then, after the match, this was good, with Kenny Omega coming face to face with two AEW World Champion challengers and some old folks and stuff, which was good. This was really good stuff. Let's talk about it. After the match, Hangman grabs a microphone and says Samoa Joe wasn't a man enough to face him, and he promised to take everything from Joe. And Swerve takes the mic and he says himself and Hangman would take everything from Joe. Then Kenny Omega music hits and he makes his way to the ring and he says, well, he had time scheduled for himself. He thought it was a great time to come to the ring, and given that himself, Hangman and Swerve have him and Swerve have interest in the AEW World Championship. He said himself, Hangman and Swerve have things to prove, and then says if the fans still believe in him, then he believes too. He said he can't just snap his fingers as EVP to get an AEW World Championship match, then says he needs a couple of wins, and he's planning on going after the AEW World Championship. And Hangman tells Omega, may the best man win if they come past, Hangman said, may the best man win if they cross paths, and he heads to the back, and then Swerve then stares down Omega and heads to the back with Prince Nana, which we'll talk about that whole situation what happened Wednesday later on tonight, guys. We'll talk about that episode. And then the Don Callis family's music hits, and Don Callis appears along with Josh Alexander and Rocky Romero and Lance Archer, and Don Callis dares Omega to wrestle Josh Alexander, given that Josh Alexander broke Kota Ibushi's leg, but Omega says he could barely hear Don Callis and all the fans. He's ones up Don Callis' challenge, and he says he's willing to face Josh Alexander tonight, but Don Callis steps up and says Josh Alexander will face Kenny Omega the following week, which we'll talk about that later, because what he says goes. And then Brody King throws John Cruz into the ringside area with a brief backstage verbal conversation between them having taken place just moments premiere. And then the match was a quick match. This match was it was quick. It was a swash match, guys. I'm telling you, it was a swash match with John Cruz and Brody King. Let's talk about it. The bell rings and Brody King knocks over Cruz, and Cruz looks to fly off the ropes, but Brody King interrupts him with a right hand and spikes him with a power driver for the win, and that's how Brody King defeated John Cruz. Then after the match, Brody King grabs a microphone and tells Bandito he wants him to bet MJF. Then the Don Callis family, they make their way to the ring, and Jet Speed and the Gates of Agony and the Young Bucks follow with Don Callis and Ricochet join the announced desk, and we had this number one contender match, which was good, guys, and I'm telling you, this was really good with the Don Callis family, winning this number one contender match, which already happened, for the AEW World title match, which we'll talk about that match later on in the next couple reviews. We'll talk about that as well and stuff, guys. Oh man, let's talk about this match. The Young Bucks versus Jet Speed and the Gigs of Agony. I'll say it again. The Young Bucks versus Jet Speed and the Gigs of Agony versus the Don Callis family. Final four-way number one contender match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Four-way number one contender match for the AEW World Tag Team titles. Let's talk about it, guys. So Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson deliver a double dive to Mark Davis and Jake Something as Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight land a double dive on Bishop Khan and Talia, and the bell rings, and Knight and Bailey look to send Matt and Nick crashing into one another, and Matt and Nick are since crashing and look to return the favor, but Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight are since being sent colliding with one another. Then Matt and Nick deliver a double body slam to Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight, but Mark Davis and Jake Something and Bishop Khan and Talia take them out and stare one another down, and Matt and Nick and Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight delivered a drop kick to Mark Davis and Jake Something and Bishop Khan and Tyler off the ropes, but Nick and Knight rained down right hands on Jake Something and Mark Davis, and Mike Bailey and Matt follow suit, but the Bucks and Jet Speed sent Double and Davis crashing into one another, and Jet Speed and the Bucks then looked to deliver a four-way BTE trigger to Devin. I'll say it again, a BTE trigger to Davis and Something, but Dave and Something take out all four men, and Khan clotheslines Something off the ring, and Talia delivers a moonsault off the ring apron and takes out Something and Davis, and he clotheslines Kevin Knight over the barricade, and back from the break, Nick delivers a kick to Jake Something's head. Then Mike, also again, repeat it again, guys. Back from the break, Nick delivers a kick to Jake Something's head, and Matt follows it up with a blockbuster to him off the apron. But everyone begins brawling with one another before Jake Something and the Bucks fly off the apron, off the ropes at the same time and take out Jake Something and Mark Davis and Bishop Khan and Talia. Then Nick lands a pair of super kicks on Bishop Khan and Talia, but Bishop Khan and Talia deliver an sense cutter on him, and they deliver a double Razor's Edge on Matt and pin him, but Kevin Knight breaks the fall. Then Bishop Khan then stacks the Bucks on top of one another, but Mike Bailey delivers a 450 splash style pair of double knee to the Bucks spine, and Kevin Knight follows it up with the UFO splash to Bishop Khan, and then the Bucks have a super kick party with everyone in the ring, but Matt pins Knight, and Knight reverses the fall, but Matt kicks out, and the Bucks deliver the BTE trigger and pin him. And repeat it again. Delivered the BTE trigger to him. Then Nick goes for the pin, but Ricochet pulls the ref out of the ring and breaks the fall. Then Jack Perry flies up out of nowhere and then takes out Ricochet, but the Gangs of Ebony take out Jack Perry inside the ring, and Mike Bailey lands a double kick on Jake Something and Mark Davis, and the rocks Mark Davis with the Inzanari, and then Jake Something powerbombs Mike Bailey on top of the Bucks, and the Gangs of Ebony with Mark Davis delivering a pile driver to Kevin Knight for the win. And that's what happened right there, guys. And that's how the Don Callis family got the number one contender match and stuff, guys. And that's what happened right there. Then after the match, FTR and Stokely, who's in a wheelchair, makes his way to the ring, and Cash Wheeler and Dex Harwood get in the ring and stare down Jake Something and Mark Davis before a brawl. apologize, guys, about that. After the match, FTR and Stokely, who are in a wheelchair, make their way to the ring, and Cash Wheeler and Dex Harwood make. I'll say it again, repeat it again, guys. After the match, FTR and Stokely, who's in a wheelchair, makes his way to the ring, and Cash Wheeler and Dex Harwood get into the ring and stare down Jake Something and Mark Davis before a brawl breaks out between all four men, and officials run out to the ring and break all four men apart. Then we had the Triangle of Madness fences the base of Wrath and Chris Statlander, which was a fun match, guys. I'm telling you. Oh man, this was a fun trios match. I'm telling you. Oh man, this match was fun. I'm telling you. Let's talk about it, guys. So Chris Statlander and Tekla begin the action, and the bell rings, and Tekla takes out to Julia Hart, and Chris Statlander flinches a side headlock on Hart, then connects a back suplex on Julia Hart and tags in Harley Cameron, and Harley Cameron delivers a sling blade to Julia Hart, then tags in Willow Nightingale, then Willow Nightingale sends Harley Cameron crashing on top of Julia Hart and pins Julia Hart, but Julia Hart kicks out, then tags in Sky Blue, and she lands a kick on Willow Nightingale in midsection, but Willow Nightingale rocks Blue with an Inzanari and fires off clotheslines on her into the corner, and then Statlander takes back and wears down Blue before Harley Cameron tags back in, and Sky Blue takes her down, and Blue then rains down right hands on Harley Cameron. Then back from the break, Tekla has a submission cinch on Cameron, and then Statlander tags in and stares down Tekla, then sends her crashing into the mat face first, and then Julia Hart slides into the ring and looks to fly off the ropes, but Statlander catches her and delivers a backbreaker, and then she sends Blue crashing into the middle turnbuckle and face first and delivers a knee to the side of Tekla's head, then sends her crashing into the mat and goes for a pin. Then Hart and Blue break the fall, but Chris Statlander delivers a spinning powerbomb to Hart. Then I'll say it again. Then Blue catches Chris Statlander with a tornado DDT, but Willow Nightingale catches Blue with a spinebuster, and then Tekla delivers a roundhouse kick to Willow Nightingale, but Harley Cameron delivers a backstabber to Tekla and tags in. Then Willow Nightingale tags in and a double team on Tekla with Harley Cameron, and Blue and Hart delivered a swinging I'll say it again, a swinging inner wrench to Willow Nightingale, but Chris Statlander takes them both out. Then Tekla takes down Chris Statlander, but Willow Nightingale delivers Tekla with a forearm, then sets up for the Dr. Bomb on Tekla. Then Tekla escapes with a Hurricanrana to Willow Nightingale, but Chris Statlander makes the blind tag in, and then Tekla sets up for her finisher on Willow Nightingale, but Willow Nightingale I'll say it again, but Willow Nightingale, you know what I'm saying? I'll repeat it again. Tekla sets up for her finisher on Willow Nightingale, but she came back and stuff and all that. Boom, 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 boom. Good stuff, good stuff. And but Chris Statlander, I was thinking, she would. I was thinking, Tekla sets up for her finisher on Willow Nightingale, but Chris Statlander pushes Willow Nightingale out of the ring. Then Sky Blue and Julia Hart break down Willow Nightingale onto the outside, and Tekla delivers a curse stomp to Chris Statlander back into the ring for the win, and that's how they won. That's how Triangle of Madness won. And I'll repeat it again, guys. Tekla delivers a curse stomp to Chris Statlander's back in the ring, and 1, 2, 3, and that's how they won. And good job to the Triangle of Madness. I would love to see them, be the first ever AEW Trios Women's Champions if they ever do that. Oh man, imagine the AEW first ever women's trios AEW champions. Oh my goodness, that would be good. I'm telling you. Then after the match, Renee Paquette catches up with Jet Speed backstage, and Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page both approach Jet Speed to offer them some word of advice, with Hangman offering Jet Speed the chase to challenge the Hobbs for the AEW World Trios Championships with him on AEW Collision and stuff. Then back from the break, he heads over to a brief video announcing that the Rascals will officially be in AEW, which I'm saying, guys, I'm going to talk about that in a bit and stuff. I'm telling you, the Rascals in AEW, really good stuff. I'm telling you, I love the debut match that they had and stuff. We talked about that with my buddy Prince Idol, on here, Saturday night when we did that long video. So yes, guys. Then then we had MJF versus Bandito for the AEW World Title. Oh man, this was the main event. Oh, this main event was good with Bandito's gear. Oh my goodness, Bandito's gear was good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. I'm telling you, sorry guys, sorry. Too much, too much hyperness, but it is what it is. Let's talk about this match. MJF fences Bandito, and MJF retained the AEW World Title, which was a fun match. Let's talk about it, guys. And he won with the label lock. Let's talk about it. So the bell rings and Bandito rolls up MJF and MJF kicks out, but Bandito delivers an arm drag to MJF and follows it up with a Hurricanrana, and MJF risks Bandito's eyes, but Bandito delivers a gorilla press to MJF and ascends to the top rope, and MJF rolls out of the way and sends Bandito's face bouncing off the top rope, then delivers a pile driver to him and sends him crashing into the turn, also again crashing into the corner, and MJF then pins Bandito, but Bandito kicks out and MJF raises his eyes once again, and back from the break, MJF delivers the three amigos to Bandito, then MJF and Bandito exchange strikes with one another, but Bandito delivers a Furious suplex to MJF and connects with a tornado DDT on him and delivers a gorilla press style slam to MJF using one arm, but MJF lands a stomp on Bandito's arm off the top rope, and then Bandito sends MJF crashing out of the ring and flies over the top rope to him and out onto the outside and looks to fly once again, but MJF hops over the barricade and into the crowd into escape, and Bandito ascends to the top rope and delivers a crossbody to MJF as he stands in the crowd, but MJF connects with a cold breaker, but Bandito also again, MJF connects with a cold breaker to Bandito's arm back into the ring. Then Bandito delivers a Toulouse to MJF off to the top rope, then connects with a boot on MJF's midsection and follows it up with a Canadian destroyer to him, and then he sets up the 21 plex on MJF, but MJF blocks it and connects with a big boot on Bandito's face and sets it up. Excuse me again. He sets it up. He sets it up for the heat seater, but Bandito fights up MJF and looks to fly into the ring over the top rope and from the ring apron and MJF catches Bandito with a cutter, but Bandito delivers a splash to MJF off the rope and then looks to land the 21 plex on MJF. Then MJF lands on his feet and rolls up Bandito, but also again, I repeat it again, guys. MJF catches Bandito with a cutter, but Bandito delivers a splash to MJF off the ropes and looks to land the 21 plex on MJF, and MJF lands on his feet and rolls up, and Bandito kicks out and rolls up MJF, and MJF reverses the fall, but Bandito then pairs and takes turns with one another, and then Bandito then delivers a GTS onto MJF, then sends MJF near the ropes before he delivers a 21 plex to MJF and crawls over him to make it in, and then MJF has time to kick out. Also again, MJF has time to kick out, immediately descends into the salt of the earth, and then Bandito crawls over the top. Also again, repeat it again. Sorry guys. MJF has time to kick out, then hastily rescinds into the salt of earth. Bandito crawls over the top. Also again, I keep on saying top. Over. Crawls over to the bottom rope, but MJF brings Bandito back into the corner of the ring and lunges into the label lock on Bandito. Then Bandito flips off MJF and essentially ended up fading, and that's what happened right there. And Bandito faded, and that's what happened right there. And MJF won, guys. And I'll repeat it again. Bandito crawled over to the bottom rope, but MJF brings Bandito back into the center of the ring and clenches the label lock on Bandito, and Bandito flips off MJF and Sicily ends up fading, and that's what happened right there, guys, and that's how MJF retained the AEW World Title. Then after the match, MJF grabs a microphone and says he's laughing hearing people call Bandito an AEW World Champion. He says it's since that the fans were right after all, then he says Bandito will be a World Champion in AEW one day, says he has to do what he has to. Then MJF hits Bandito with the AEW World Championship and looks to unmask Bandito. Then Brody King runs out to the ring to force MJF to retreat, then helps up Bandito and hugs him as he sends to the crowd to cheer for Bandito, and the show goes off, and that's what happened right there, guys. And I gave this show, I'm going to tell you guys, I gave this show an 8.5 out of 10. A very good show, 8.5 out of 10. Very good show. I enjoyed every moment of it, even though I give it an 8.5 out of 10. And I'm telling you guys, very good show. Very good. Good stuff. I'm telling you guys. But that's all I have to say, guys, for this AEW Dynamite Maximum Carnage. And I gave this show a 8.5. And much love, guys. I'll say it again, much love. And this is CJD 2006. I'll say it again. This is CJD 2006. And much love. And peace out and take care.